Let's talk about Luka Dončić getting his joy back tonight. Yes, I know I need a haircut. Please subscribe. Please drop a like on this video. Luka Dončić, 32 points, 10 for 22, which is roughly 45% from the field. 4 for 9 from 3. That's roughly 45% from 3. That's pretty solid. 8 for 8 from the line. That's a rare occurrence for Luka Dončić. Just looked like he was having fun on a basketball court again. A thing that I haven't seen since the trade, really, honestly. I mean, you see flashes of him throwing a full court pass to LeBron or things of that nature, but it just looked like he enjoyed actually playing basketball today. And I think that has a lot to do with a multitude of things, which we'll get into. But I first want to talk about just happy. I'm just happy for the guy that he's slowly getting over this horrific occurrence. Mavericks fans don't seem to be getting over it quite as well. I think this game on Tuesday, which I hope to do a video for, I hope he plays well. We'll see how he, handles the whole situation, especially back on the Lakers floor, which I think is a big factor in why he kind of struggled first when he came to the Lakers, just kind of that pressure from the crowd. You could feel the tension in those games, the 3 games that he's played in outside of this one. Every miss, he hung his head. Every pass he made, every missed rotation he had, he just hung his head, and he did not look happy. Anyone that's watched Luka Dončić at all, whether it's 2 games, 1 game, every game, which I think I've watched, 99.9% of Luka Dončić games since he's gone to the NBA. I can tell you right now, he looked a lot better tonight. I think that was obvious for anyone that's, again, watched any of Luka. And I think Lakers fans should be thanking Christian Braun, because that game could have gone in the same way that the other games did. Yeah, he came out with a little more energy than he did in previous games, but Christian Braun kind of lit a fire under him after that poke away, and then good defensive possession. I mean, you could say it was a foul, but a good defensive possession on Luka in the post on that left block, and then Luka hunted him for the rest of the game, hit 2 step-back threes over him. He kind of locked in on that matchup. He looked like the normal Luka Dončić. And it's funny, I think Lakers fans will get used to this, but Luka does the majority of his damage in the first quarter. It's kind of the opposite of LeBron, where LeBron feels the game out. He dishes the ball around, and then he does a lot of his damage in the third quarter or fourth quarter, obviously. Luka loves coming out in the first quarter and scoring an obnoxious amount of points. He had 16 in the first today, 16, 4, and 3, I think, in the first quarter, and he was just doing normal Luka Dončić shit. Finding good passes, finding open players, skip passes. There were a multitude of those to LeBron in the corner this game, which not many of those ended up in buckets, but you see the vision there. These skip passes that Luka Dončić is known for, that kind of hook skip pass to the corner that he does off a pick and roll. Just a multitude of solid passes and good decision making. He only ended with 1 turnover for the 7 assists he had, and that is the Luka Dončić. Not necessarily that you're used to, because Luka Dončić does tend to rack up those turnovers later in games when he's more tired and he's being overly taxed. That happened a lot, especially before Kyrie came to the Mavericks, where Luka would be obviously overtaxed with having the ball in his hands too much. He'd make a couple dumb passes, especially early in that fourth quarter. He would lock in towards the end of the fourth, obviously. He's known for that. But yeah, he was talking shit to Christian Braun's face after he hit that 3-pointer in him. It was just happy as, a Mavs fan and a Luka fan to see him get some joy back. And he even said that in the postgame.
What felt better tonight?
Just finally felt like myself a little bit, playing this game. This was what I love, so I'm just finally, being myself a little bit, so that's why I was smiling the whole game.
I'm getting my joy back. Yeah, it might have been a struggle in these last 3 weeks, but I'm getting my joy back. I think most people kind of forgot the human aspect, and me a little bit too. Just the fact that Luka Dončić is a guy that played basketball in Slovenia until he was 14. His dad played basketball. He moved to Madrid when he was 14 to go play professional basketball. Left all of his friends, left all of his family to go to a city in a country that he didn't even speak the language of. They immediately loved him. He worked his way through Real Madrid. He won Eurobasket when he was 17. He won EuroLeague MVP. He was just an all-time player for the EuroLeague by age 18. Then he was drafted by the Mavericks, and after his rookie season, Dirk retired, and he was handed the keys of a franchise that adored him. Everyone adored him. And for him to be traded overnight, he had never gone through that kind of hardship. And, it's tough as a regular person who's gone through hardship to understand that perspective. But Luka, as the guy, as the human, is used to being the shit. Like, he is the guy, the best guy in the gym, the best player. He sees himself in the NBA, the best player in EuroLeague. That's backed up by his MVP. And it's just to be traded like that overnight and disrespected, called fat, said that you don't work hard, said that you don't fit the culture, all these things that Nico Harrison and that jackass Patrick Dumont said about this guy. It was only a matter of time before he hit his form. It's going to go down as one of the worst trades in NBA history. Anyway, to continue with some non-Luka thoughts, I thought the Lakers just in general looked great tonight. I thought the way they defended Jokic, the way JJ had these guys defending, double teaming immediately. As soon as Jokic got that ball in the wing, they were immediately double teaming, bringing a guy over, and it forced the ball out of Jokic's hands. He only had 4 shots in the first half. And it was honestly, I know that Jokic technically didn't lose this game for the Nuggets, but I think his lack of aggression in this game lost the game for them. And I understand it's tough to fight through these double teams, which means you have to catch the ball and immediately make your move. You can't wait for the double team. You need to spin baseline and make things happen. And Jokic didn't do that tonight. Most nights he does. I think this series, if it does happen, a Lakers-Nuggets series, the Nuggets probably win that series as of today. My opinion can obviously change, but the Lakers need time to gel. This roster doesn't perfectly form around their 3 best players in Reeves, LeBron, and Luka. They don't have a true center yet. Jackson Hayes is just out there. He's been fine. He's been all right. I thought he played pretty good tonight. I thought Dorian Finney-Smith played some impactful minutes. I thought Jared Vanderbilt, for the 6 minutes he was out there, was actually pretty impactful, affected the tide of the game in the first quarter, came in with a lot of energy. He picked up a bunch of fouls. Speaking of picking up a bunch of fouls, Julian Strother could not stay on the fucking floor tonight. He picked up 4 fouls in 2 minutes, 5 fouls in 3 minutes. He looked like he didn't belong on the court tonight. Jamal Murray was kind of a non-factor in a lot of ways. He had 2 back-to-back threes, but those were quickly countered by the Lakers. They stifled any run that the Nuggets had in the end of third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, and this game just felt like it was out of reach for the Nuggets by like 8 minutes left in the game. LeBron subbed himself out with 6 minutes left. Like, he knew this game was over. They were up 16. Luka and Reeves could handle the rest of this game, and it was just a really, really solid win for a Lakers team that is still gelling. Now, I know the Nuggets went on a 9-game win streak, and this was them losing that win streak, and I don't necessarily want to judge the Nuggets and their playoff potential or championship potential off this game alone, but they did not look very good tonight. As far as their spacing, it looked rough.
I do want to add, though, they knocked down the 3 ball, 39%. Both teams shot 16 for 41 from 3. Like, this was a wash as far as 3-point percentage goes.
Their ability to do anything when Jokic is not their immediate answer looked rough. It looked rough. The minutes from the deep bench guys, Strother looked ass. Zeke Naji looks like he doesn't belong on a basketball court. Like, these extra guys did not belong on the court tonight. And it just looks like this roster is not championship ready. But you can never count the Nuggets out with Nikola Jokic. And again, they just went on a 9-game win streak. But if you go and look at those wins in that 9-game win streak, it was 2 wins over a Trailblazers team that has been solid lately, yes. 2 wins over the Pelicans. A win over a struggling Magic team who has their star player getting shit-talked by George Niang. And look, any 9-game win streak in the NBA is impressive. I'm just saying it's less impressive than it would be because they played some teams that are just simply inferior, and most of them don't really have playoff hopes, let alone championship hopes. So this was kind of a measuring stick for them, and it does reflect frowningly on them, the fact that they couldn't take advantage of a Lakers team that basically ran half the game without a center. Jackson Hayes didn't play, obviously he didn't play 35 minutes this game. Now, I think the Nuggets will eventually take advantage of that, and in the 7-game series, I don't necessarily believe in that as a full recipe for the Lakers to be able to beat them. But tonight, they got the best of them, and to put it bluntly, the Nuggets just looked like the inferior team tonight. So I'm going to kind of leave it at that. I'm happy that Luka Dončić is returning to form. I'll talk about this more on Tuesday, hopefully, when he plays. I want to quickly talk about Greg Popovich not coming back for the rest of the season. Hopefully, my recording software holds on. It is lagging unbelievably slow. Greg Popovich, an NBA legend, a guy that put Mitch Johnson in power as the head coach of the Spurs since he's gone. I think Mitch Johnson, he tries. He's an inferior coach to Greg Popovich. That's simply a fact. But we also have to understand that Greg Popovich is almost 80 years old. And this is a serious medical issue. Like, having a stroke at that age is a serious problem. Not only could it be a problem for him in the future as far as future medical complications, but just his cognitive ability in being able to be on the court, coaching on the sidelines, yelling, getting red in the face, thinking about the game, processing everything. Like, he might And I don't want to say this, he might simply not be the same guy he was before the stroke. Now, I'm not saying, again, it's a mild stroke and I have very limited experience with strokes, but for a guy that has worked with those kinds of people, it does worry me a little bit that we haven't really heard from him personally, not necessarily in a message or a social media post. I'm talking about him personally sitting in front of a microphone. And I get Greg Popovich is not a media guy. He's a guy that likes to go to the basketball games, coach, then leave. And that's how Greg Popovich has been since he became a head coach for the San Antonio Spurs. I hope Greg Popovich can get back on the floor next season. I know that he says he's not going to coach for the rest of the season. There's no reason for him to come back. The Spurs are not going to make the playoffs, especially after this, freakish deep venous thrombosis, aka a blood clot in Wemby's right shoulder, something that he'll fully recover from. Brandon Ingram experienced this. Asar Thompson experienced this. This team is just kind of in limbo right now. They're probably going to tank for the last bit of this season. There's no reason for him to rush himself back. I have heard that Greg Popovich has been at practice, and that makes me happy. I was hoping that he was going to make an appearance by the end of the season, and I hope I'm not coming off too doom and gloom. But a 78-year-old having a mild stroke, while yes, it's, better than it could have been, it is still a massive worry. Anyway, I hope he's back on a basketball court next season. I don't want this to be the end of Greg Popovich's career. He has way too much of an importance to the game of basketball for him to just go out like this. I just hope he's all right. That's all I hope. I hope he's back next season. I hope he's coaching basketball. And I hope he is a massive influence on the Spurs next season and leads them to the playoffs, is really what I truly hope for that franchise. So anyway, y'all take care. Greg Popovich, forever.